Gang, what's up? It is Monday. We are back at it again with the boat stuff. What was that? I will never say that again. I'm very sorry. All right, so last week you guys saw that I had my very first solo job. This week I'm a little less nervous, a little less freaked out, and so I'm gonna take you along with me. You're gonna follow me a little more closely. The first project we did was the stern light. The second project that we're doing has to do with her batteries. There were several things that her survey found that were not compliant about her batteries. One of them was that the battery box that they're in is not suitable for flooded lead acid batteries. So in the back seat, I actually have a couple battery boxes that I ordered off of Amazon. I'll tell you my plan when we get on the boat. Let's go. I'm covering up the registration numbers of Kate's boat because, I don't know, privacy. But this is the 1985 Bayliner.
Hi, puppies.
All right, so let's talk about what we're doing. So this is Kate's engine room, and her house bank are 4 batteries that are in here and 4 batteries that are in that box over there. Essentially, these boxes here are not compliant. I can't tell you why this plastic is compliant. Can't exactly tell you that, but what I know is that it is. All right, so I'm gonna try my best to explain this, but essentially these boxes are being supported on this side because you have a platform coming out here and then you have a platform coming out there, and there's nothing in between. So can you see there's like a void in the middle? So it makes sense to me that someone would build this box out of wood because it's rigid enough to be able to keep its shape even though it's only getting supported on this side and on that side. So my plan, my idea, there's actually 2 ways that this can happen. So my first plan would be to deconstruct this box, allowing the bottom plank to remain, and I'm hoping that that bottom plank is affixed to the platform that it's sitting on, and then to strap the new battery box with the batteries in it to that bottom plank of wood from this box. Does that make sense? Now, if that's not possible, if we take apart this box and we realize that that bottom piece of wood is not going to work for us in the way we want, then my second plan would be to build up a flooring, if that be with my own piece of wood or if that be with starboard. I'm not sure yet, but what I'm really hoping for is to start deconstructing this box and that I can leave the bottom piece of wood there. So that's going to be our first task. Let's dive right in. Just poke myself in the eye. Okay, the screws over there came out pretty easily, but the screws over here are proving to be really hard. So I'm gonna try a different way. I'm gonna take the batteries out and try disassembling the box while it's empty. Got them all labeled. It's a really easy setup, simple setup, but just to avoid any kind of possibility of not putting it back right, I labeled the whole thing. And I'm almost sure that these battery wire gauges are wrong, and certainly batteries are not supposed to have wing nuts on them, but we're not focusing on either one of these things today. We're just focusing on getting that box out of there. I've got the batteries fully unhooked. Now we're gonna lift them out of there. All right, got the first one out, and gives me a little bit better vision of what's going on down there. Alrighty, why am I wearing white shoes when I'm doing this? Bad call, but I accidentally pulled out this tube and spilled I gotta clean that up. Got the front of the box off. All right, it was too hard to disassemble inside, so I just took out the entire box. Now we can kind of see the area. Yeah. So, okay. I'm starting to have thoughts. Because basically, this box is really hard to disassemble. A lot of the screws are coming out easily, but a lot of them are like rusted, or I don't even know what's going on with that one. This one's just spinning and spinning. This plank did come out a lot easier, and it's good to go. What if we use this one instead? Yeah, see? That's gonna work just fine. See, it's close. So I might cut off these handles here. And it might fit. See, it's so close. All right, so unfortunately I've got to do this job in 4-hour increments, and we're approaching the end of the 3rd hour, and so I feel like I can tell what's going to be the stopping point. So I'm just going to put these batteries back up here and reconnect them, because I'm not going to be able to come back here until Wednesday. So I want these to be, I don't want these offline for 2 days, so I'm just gonna set them here until I get back on Wednesday. I put it back together. It'll be fine sitting there till Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what we just did. A drive slow.
Yeah. We're in here.
We're in there. I can't believe we're doing this.
Look at this.
Yeah. We've got the whole sculpture in Momser's Sally Sotera.
Yeah.
That she worked at oil distribution.
Oh, I think that's perfect.
All right, we've got all the pieces in. We just need to actually hang it there. First piece. Is that? This morning I had a really chill morning, and that was great. Right now I'm heading to Kate's boat to continue the battery boxes, and I have a little bit of a dilemma. It was my first idea to just cut the handles off, but then I realized that the lid kind of has the same profile as the handles. So even if I cut the handles off, when I go to put the lid on, the lid won't fit. So then I was like, okay, I'll just cut up the lid. But then when I did some research, I was finding that for flooded lead acid batteries, the container for them is important in case some of that liquid that's inside the battery spills. And so if you modify the lid, you're at risk at making the whole thing not compliant. Part of me is like, slow down, don't cut up these boxes so that you can't return them. The boxes were only $35 each. So 2 boxes ruined would be $70. Not a lot, but you know, it's like, I don't want to waste money. Part of me feels like I can figure this out. I can modify these boxes and still achieve the safety goal. But another part of me is like, slow down, dude. You're gonna start chopping and waste money. So I don't know. At this point, I'm still on the fence about it, but I feel like in this case, the worst case scenario is that I'm gonna be wasting $70. So I feel like I should just do it. You know, I feel like we can figure out how to make sure that these boxes, if some of the electrolyte liquid on the inside spills, that it's captured and that these boxes have proper ventilation. I feel like we can figure that out. Meanwhile, this morning, Kate texted me and let me know that her switches, her light switches in her cabin are doing weird things. When we turn the lights above her bed, This switch controls that. Now if I turn them off, this switch does nothing. But if I turn this on, lights are on, this switch turns them off and on. That's weird. All I did was open up the switches, and it did look like the wire that was sort of jumping power to each switch was a little loose. So all I did was take the switch off and put it back on its contact. It's like a quick disconnect thing. And I can't get it to do the fault after that anymore. If she sees that problem happen again, then I'll open that back up and probably replace all those. But so far it seems fine. It seems like the connection was just a little loose. Now for the battery boxes. What do you guys think I should do? You think, I mean, it was kind of complicated finding battery boxes that were gonna fit, and everything fits except for the handles and the overhang of the lid. So I'm kind of like, do I stop now and try to research more, or do I just push forward and try to find solutions? Let me take a look. Okay, see what I mean? If the handle is too far out for things to fit, then when I put the lid on, the lid kind of comes out like that too. You know, my first instinct is telling me to go for it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so with the handles chopped off and with this moved over a couple inches, it does fit. But don't celebrate too soon because we still have the lid issue. But for today, I'm just gonna focus on actually affixing the platform to here and getting the straps ready for this, and then getting the batteries back in there and hooking them back up for the day. And then we'll just deal with what we're gonna do with the lids after that. All right, I've got the eye straps on and the straps affixed to the board. Now I'm gonna put this down on the platform in there, screw it down. The platform is set, the batteries are in their boxes, and these are hooked back up for the day. So now we just have to figure out our lid issue. All right, gang. We are giving the battery boxes a rest. Today's Thursday, what's up? And it's a short day for me because I babysit every Thursday. So I'm just gonna try to fix what's going on with this switch. Now, today, the switch is like not even working. So we're going to rewire it and hope that that solves the problem. I'm gonna put new connectors on all of these and then recreate this jumper situation. All right, there's the rewire. I'm gonna heat shrink all these when I have time and when it's not so freaking hot outside. But I just wanna test this out. All right, well, the fault is not happening, but it's kind of hard to tell because it was not happening for a little while yesterday, and then when I checked it before I left, it was happening. Basically, she was saying that this switch, which controls that light, was turning off and on these lights. And when I'm trying to recreate that, it is not happening now, which is good. Got this all rewired, looks a lot better. Hopefully that fixes the issue. I'm at my car making up a couple wires here. These are not the right size on the batteries, so real quick before I leave for the weekend, just trying to get it done. All right, last thing I'm doing this week. These guys are not the right size. They needed to be 2 gauge or bigger. So We're gonna place it with those, and then it'll be compliant. Also, wing nuts, not compliant. Hex nuts, compliant. Guys, it's Friday, but it's not your typical Friday. This Friday we're going sailing. I'm meeting up with E2 right now and a couple other Seaster sailors, and we're sailing to Port Townsend for Port Townsend Pride. Alrighty, we are ready to go.